Welcome to the Natural Genius podcast. We're here to help you tap into your natural genius. Let's go. Adam has this combination of deep wisdom, youthfulness, a desire to contribute, curiosity. He has enough mischief in him to almost get in trouble, and he's exceptional at tech. I first met Adam at network school on an island off of Singapore in Malaysia, and I was struck by this very impressive person. I love how he's an old soul that is growing into a strong person. I'm so curious about what Adam will do. He's already achieved so much, and I'm looking forward to hearing from him about living on a deserted island in Malaysia and all that he is doing and experiencing. Enjoy hearing from Adam. Dear Adam Pangelinan, welcome to the Natural Genius podcast.
Thanks for having me, Sam.
Before we put record on, you were telling me about this lovely painting on the wall behind you. Could you tell me where it came from and what's been happening lately?
I did it in oil pastel at an art class here at network school.
Amazing. And you and I met through network school last March.
Yes.
I wanted to talk about how you came to be at network school. I have a feeling that there's mischief involved, and it includes the earlier version 1 of network school, which was September the year before last. Could you tell us a mischievous story?
I can. So
Excellent.
it was Q4 2024, and I was scrolling through X or Twitter, and I saw Balaji Srinivasan tweet about the Network State Conference and then how it was going to be hosted in Singapore. And I had just went to Singapore the summer prior, and I loved it. And I love Lee Kuan Yew. I love the history. I loved being there. It was like a family trip. It was great. And so then, without even thinking twice, I just bought the ticket. I was like, I'm going to this Network State Conference. Then I also saw that there was a Don't Die Summit by Brian Johnson. And I was like, cool. It's like a festival, but for tech nerds. So I'll go to the Don't Die Summit first, and then I'll go to the Network State Conference. And it was so fun. It was so life-changing, mind-opening experience. Yeah, I went by myself. I left Guam, where I'm from. I had a great time. The Don't Die Summit was super. It was like a amusement park, but for health nerds. So I got to like meet Brian Johnson, and then I didn't know it, but Balaji ended up speaking there. And then I was like, oh my God, like he's my hero. I'm gonna go try and talk to him. So I followed him out with some other fanboys, and I got to talk to him. I talked to his wife, asked him for some advice. He said to apply to network school, so I did. And then I went to the Network State Conference. That was super fun. I made a friend there. We had lunch the next day. We found out about the secret school, which was V1, which was network school. And we were just like, fuck it, we're going to leave in like 3 days. We should just go check it out. So me and this new friend of mine, that day, we just used our internet detective skills. We found out where it was based on the few pictures we had, the few clues we had. We messaged people on X. We found out more information. Yeah, it was us two and then one other guy. And we ended up crossing the border from Singapore to Malaysia, figuring everything out along the way. And we arrived the night of V1's first day after such long travels. Like we had lunch at like noon that day, and then we ended up arriving at the Forest City Marina Hotel lobby at like 10 p.m. So we were exhausted. We were trying to find a place to stay. There weren't any rooms at the hotel. Jackson, the director of NS, thought we were students, which is what we wanted to seem like. We snuck in. We were pretending to be students. We acted clueless. He was like, "Are you guys from NS? You need help?" And we're like, "What's that?" We were just pretending.
Oh my goodness.
So we were like sitting on the couches. Peter Levels is right across from us. We had to figure out where to stay, so we stayed at the nearby golf hotel, and we would commute that day or the next day and the day after that to and from to go and attend network school. And we did like gym classes with Brian Johnson's son. It was so cool. We got NFTs. We went to the orientations and the co-working. Yeah, and then we ended up after 2 days going back home, and then I applied for V2, which is the one that we got accepted to. In my application video, I like revealed all the cards, and I was like, this is either gonna really hurt me or really help me. And I was like, yeah, I did all this. Here's the proof. Got into V2. Before I applied for V2, it really made the decision easy to come back because I had checked it out for myself, and like the fear, the unknown was taken away.
Mm.
And then the rest is history. Now we're like 11 months in, almost a year being here. I signed up to be a long-termer. I'm like number 2. It's exciting right now. This month is the joint highest population month, and they have an L2 right now. I'm looking to my right. They have an Ethereum network state
Yes.
poster outside. It's a good month. The vibes are nice. There's a lot of people. It's cool to be a part of a project that's like rising.
Oh gosh, yeah. So I want to come back to what you've noticed in the last 11 months, Adam, because it's just so fabulous and amazing that it's nearly 12 months since you and I met and since just arriving there, because it feels like time's travelled fast. I want to just set a little bit more context. So who was Adam before the Network State Conference and before the Don't Die Conference? What were you doing? Because it seems like you've been entrepreneurial for a lot of your life.
I have a complicated relationship with education. I did try to do one semester, but it was like Zoom school. It was just a waste of time, to be honest. And that's part of a broader story, which is like me being in high school. I really hated school. It was like prison. I was trying to get out. I would ask my parents, like, I would look at these kids that were like homeschooled or like they would do online school and they were graduating early. And I was like, I just want to get out of prison. Mom, Dad, there's this like online school I can do. I want to graduate early, get out. Can we do it? And then my mom's like, no, you should stay for social reasons. I want you to just like finish. And I was like, okay. I think right before NS, I was doing an internship at an energy company. It was like a government agency that acts sort of like a private company. So I was like interning there for the summer, writing code, and I was a part of like the GIS team, which is about like drones and mapping and surveying from an view. I would just like write scripts. They had like really old Excel processes, and I would take a process that would usually take like 2 hours, and I'd write some code and then make it like 2 minutes instead.
Amazing.
That was right before the conference.
How old were you when you first started
Coding.
Yeah.
I got introduced to coding, I think, for the first time really in high school when I was in robotics class, and everyone would just be like doing the class because they thought it was like an easy class, but like I really was just interested in it. And like we would like design little car robot cameras, and it would like follow the tape on the ground, and you would program it to do what you wanted, to control it and follow a certain path. Or I would trying to like design a water robot for like a competition at, like we would go to like the local pool, and you would drop your aquatic robot in and see which one could pick up the thing that was at the bottom of the pool, or which one could swim the fastest to the end, stuff like that. Yeah.
It's good to have that backdrop. Tell me about island living, because you grew up on an island, so you're now on another island, but this is a man-made island. Tell me how it's changed over the 11 months that you've been there. 1st of March, it'll be 12 months. Tell me what it's like and why you would recommend it to others, and especially others who might be considering university versus coming to network school, or they might be considering doing their entrepreneurial ventures somewhere else.
First, I'd like to ask you first when you left, because I wanted to also riff with you because you were there for like
4 months.
Yeah, it's like a third of it. NSV1 is very scrappy. NSV2, we both arrived. I think it's really good. Obviously, their motto is like frontier, not fancy. So like the experience, our frontier, some parts are fancy, but over time, it just keeps improving. It's like they're shipping new features every day. The team is growing. I think Balaji always just says people that are pro building, pro entrepreneurship, pro tech, digital nomads can find it easy to be here and slot right in. He calls it like the tech tribe.
Does it seem like there's some themes that go through those that have signed up for long term to be there for 12 months or longer?
I think people that come just for a short time, they want to feel it out themselves before committing, but a good amount do convert to long term. You know, they say about like Singapore that it's like you're living at a company, and it feels like that. If you want a sense of home, you'll have to develop that for yourself, like with friends and tight-knit relationships, which is very doable. And cultivating that, it's also not a bad thing in the sense of like there have been company towns before. This is kind of feels similar, like Starbase, Texas, or I don't really know much about company towns, but I know that there's a history. If you liken it to American pilgrims or like the frontiersmen, people that are like in the Wild West, it's more like that, where it's like if you're going westward, that frontier style, definitely have it way better than the cowboys. Yeah,
that's well said. The friends that I met, including yourself, Adam, in that first 2 months, we became friends really quickly. So Saturday and Sunday long breakfasts were so fun. You've seen so many months since then, and people will often come in on the first of the month and leave on the end of the month, or maybe they might stay through for longer than a month. And obviously there's the long-termers. Tell me a bit more about different aspects that you're noticing, because there are aspects that we couldn't have theorized before we got there.
Yeah, like when we both arrived in March for V2, that cohort and the April cohort were very tight. It's like the whole Dunbar's member thing. When we're all on the bus and we're going from Changi to crossing the border and all that stuff, it's so fun, and everyone's getting to know everyone, and the shared experience, and we're all like exploring and experiencing NS for the first time together. So if I see someone from March, I'm like, you know, it's like you know, that kind of feel.
Your OG brother.
Yeah,
or sister.
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty, I think, commonly noted phenomenon amongst humans. When you go through shared experiences, you bond faster. It's an accelerant. Like long-termers and short-termers definitely treat the place differently. Like over time, everyone was going through a phase where like your predisposition to how you would interact with the community would change over time, because once you go past Dunbar's number, which is 150 people, you start to become socially burnt out by trying to get to know everyone. You just can't, like, it's just too draining. So then people started to, including myself, like just focus, I guess, on the relationships that you already have.
Probably the third month I was there.
Yeah.
Some people were clever enough to leave at the end of the month so that they didn't see people leaving. To go through every month, develop lovely relationships with people, and then those people leave, or new people, or people that you've known for 3 months leave at the end of the third month. And I thought that it was clever to kind of evacuate so that once a month for 12 months or however long you're there, it preserves the heart in a way to not necessarily be there for people to go. Yeah, I was really, it really affected a lot of us. I could see that each time people left. It was starting to be the conversation around the start of the month that people just couldn't turn up to the social mixes because they had done them before and the same questions were asked.
It's really a lot better.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it's completely fair to preserve your social battery, as you call it, to work out ways to be in co-living spaces together. You still need to be productive. So yeah, it was interesting to see that.
So as long as you keep adapting to, and you kind of like surf the changes of life, you'll be good.
Oh, and Adam Wisdom, a nice lead in. I imagine that you've been lucky enough to live amongst many different cultures, including the different cultures at NS. What are the things that you admire? Tell us some stories about Guam and what you love about your home island?
Sometimes I'll get a laugh from people when I say that I spawned there. Like if life's like a video game, I spawned on this tiny rock in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. If my sisters end up watching this, they're going to be cringing so hard.
Hi, sisters.
uh, Being here makes you feel like you're world traveling because you're traveling through the people that you're meeting and you're entering into their default home mindsets and value systems. What I love about Guam culture is it's very familial. It's a lot about culture, identity, being a Chamorro, which is both the ethnicity and the language of Guam and the surrounding islands in the Marianas. I recently, there was the new gym trainer. He brought in two like New Zealanders. They were like this couple who were brought in to maybe do some security work for NS. And it was so cool to meet other islanders because one of them is from Samoa and the other one was the Cook Islands. So like it felt like, oh my God, like actual islanders. It felt very familiar and very nice to be around them.
Yes.
They were here.
Can you put that to words, Adam, or is it a vibe?
My mom would like put me and my sisters through like Chamorro camp growing up. So we would like learn how to speak Chamorro and we would do all these like cultural songs and dancing and weaving and just trying to keep it alive. Language, but thankfully there are very passionate people on Guam that are keeping it alive. How does it feel though to meet islanders and feel that island culture? I don't know. It's like a hospitality. It's a chillness. It just feels like home. It's hard to describe.
I love that for you.
Yeah. I've also found that there are some compatible cultures that I've found. If I look with broad stroke, I seem to have an easy time interacting with Indian and Mexican people also.
Isn't that wild? You've got to be in another place.
It's not 100%. Yeah. And also Americans.
Yeah.
And also Australians.
Yeah.
Case in point.
Thank goodness for me. I jokingly, our beautiful friend Elvira, whose name I do not pronounce properly, and I have tried, but I say that she's the antithesis culture to my own because I kept on offending her. And we love each other, but I kept on offending her. And it was partly because she's got a really mischievous sense of humour. And half the time I thought I was offending her and she was actually just teasing me. Like, I was constantly apologising for offending her. And she was every now and then just straight-faced. And then every now and then she'd go, Sam, I was joking. And so I just have this I just have this joke both with her but also with others that my Australian is the complete opposite to Kyrgyzstani and also like what a pleasure for you and I to be having this conversation about different cultures. I do feel very grateful to network schoolers for both having the audacity or the courage to arrive and apply and all that sort of stuff, as well as the organising team, because for a small sample size, 100, 150, 200 people turning up each month, to be able to have the world's map represented as it wasn't perfect. There could have been more South America, there could have been more Africa, but still there was representation. I really appreciated being able to be around so many different cultures.
Yeah, you can take the bits and pieces that you admire from the culture, the values, the philosophies of different places.
You really come across as a very accomplished person already. What sort of things do you love achieving in life? Because I heard a little bit about it with the robotics that you were talking about before, and also automation, do things in a much quicker time.
Well, thank you for saying that. I don't think I'm well accomplished yet, but I'm working on it. It sounds kind of pretentious, but I've been researching the problems that matter most to humanity and then working back from there.
That doesn't sound pretentious. That just sounds like a wise use of Adam's mind.
Okay, thank you. You often use that emoji, like the bowing emoji, and I started picking that up from you. It's a good one.
With deepest reverence and keep going. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep on giving you compliments, Adam.
Lately, I've been working on leveraging up, which in practice means yeah, cleaning up my GitHub, cleaning up X, starting to ship more, amazing apps.
Is it your preference to work solo?
I've experimented with working with some people here at NS on projects, but it's only lasted at most like a month. Just to myself, I like to speak about it in like mythical terms because it makes it more fun for me. So I've been trying to find like an awesome quest to go on with awesome companions.
What are you most proud of?
What comes to mind is I've been like posting more on like YouTube and X. I love learning from like books and people. So I would take all of like the books that I love and like find the PDFs of them, and then I'll run them through like Notebook LM and then post on YouTube. Also just for me to learn from. And then I also want to start posting like the podcast more.
Tell me more about the podcast, Adam.
My favorite by far podcast that I love learning from is David Senra. He's best known for his podcast called Founders, and he made this new podcast called David Senra. Basically, Founders is a podcast about learning from the greatest entrepreneurs in history. And David Senra is his new podcast where he's interviewing live the greatest living entrepreneurs. And I really like how he surfaces awesome people, like gems of people that I would not have known otherwise. And I feel like there's a lot of value in internet curation.
Yes.
Yeah, everyone isn't really the biggest fan of slop and whatnot and just low quality content because you need to protect your time, protect your attention. There's a podcast called Song Exploder that I really like. And he kind of deconstructs and does the same thing, but for artists and songs and like how they made them. So I think there's a lot in curation. If you curate effectively and you keep your bar high when it comes to what you put out there, then people, it builds trust that whatever you publish, it's going to be worth your time.
Yes, I totally agree.
Yeah, there was this quote from like Nassim Taleb, with my family, I'm a communist. With my friends, I'm a socialist. With my community, I'm a Democrat. With my broader community, I'm a Republican. And at the highest level, I'm a libertarian. So maybe the answer is to be more nuanced in how you share yourself online. Maybe within those really private groups with trusted individuals, you can be your most vulnerable self. And then as you radiate outwards from yourself, you'll have to put more polish on it. Because I think there's a lot of value to these smaller groups at different sizes and magnitudes. You are one person, right? And then what happens when it's at the second magnitude, like 10, then 100, then 1,000? And like your strategy for what you share and your filter should change.
What I noticed as I was in my tail end of NS was that you were so good to take on organising the improv nights on Wednesday night. What did you learn about improv?
Love comedy improv. It really helped me to like get out of my shell. It's a great practice to intentionally have fun, be cringe, take on the identities of different people and things and experiment with who you are for a moment. It's similar to how being here with such a global set of people gives you the opportunity to inhabit their minds and their cultures. But improv, I call it like play church. Because like once a week you go and play and you can shuffle around your identities for like an hour or two. Like, I don't know, I could pretend to be the Hulk, or I could pretend to be, a knight, or I could pretend to be a French maid. I don't know. Whatever, I could pretend to be whatever that fits the scene. And then you kind of, like, to do it well, you have to really like give into the identity that you're assuming, and it really gets you in the flow state, similar to music. So it's interesting that those two pertain to those two things. Like they really get you in the flow state. The similarity to improv would be more like if you were jamming. Like in high school, I would do like jam sessions like every day. Also, it reminded me of like the game Mafia, where you have to assume a different identity for a while and play along with it. Games, music, these things are so good for greasing up the brain. I don't know how else to.
Well said. And had you done improv before you arrived at network school?
I used to host a lot of mafia games, and but no, this is the first time. And I like things like playing games together or doing comedy improv, which is also a set of games where like by playing a game with someone, you learn so much about who someone is through the way that they play a game. And you whatever you learn in the game, whether it be like a physical game or a video game, you can apply that. It's a microcosm that you can learn from and then apply it to the macro.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Through sport, through music, through improv.
Yeah, those types of practices are really good if they can broadly apply to different domains of life and like teach you something about how you change the way that you participate in the world.
Oh, yeah. I love that. Tell me about your podcast.
The to-do list is infinite. Really meaning to edit my own backlog of podcast recordings of the people that I've done here. It really got me in the podcasting mood. And then I ended up like starting to work on it more, like making my YouTube channel look better, like the banner and like what are the titles of the episodes going to be, and what style am I going to edit it? What's my color palette? What's the brand kit? Like, how can I take inspiration from my favorite podcasts, like Tim Ferriss and David Senra? And I also like this one called like Dialectic by Jackson Dahl. Or I like his branding. So I was like, how can I take inspiration from these? I like how they have like a very set color palette. Like they choose a color and a style and they just stick to it. So it's a standardized, cohesive body of work. Like if you can design the creative process up front, then you can just repeat. It's almost like a recipe or a blueprint. If you can design the recipe, then you can just keep on cooking the same meal. Or if you
with a good result.
Exactly. Yeah.
Tastes good each time, Adam.
Exactly. Yeah, like if you follow these steps in the process, as long as it's a good process, then the output will be good.
Yeah.
I was just trying to think about all these things and like what's the process going to look like, and yeah, it's long overdue. And I wanted to talk about how I think recently in life I've been really realizing that in a lot of ways I feel like I've been living too casually, and I feel like lately I have been really wanting to step up my game, ship quality, whether it be an app or whether it be an article on X. I'm experimenting with like making my X profile private, or like I feel like the problem for me is the psychological aspect, where if I feel like whatever I'm saying could be heard by a lot of people, or it'll be saved, and it's a whole like cancel culture fear, I guess. Then I'm much more wary of posting things. One of the major reasons why I moved to NS was because Guam doesn't have any tech opportunities, which is the industry that I'm very interested in working. And I love technology, businesses and companies, and I love STEM and science, and it's all just about problem solving. And I'm really inspired and influenced by like David Deutsch and the beginning of Infinity. And when I came to NS, people started following me that also knew me IRL in real life. And I wasn't posting as much anymore. I think Miven would like quote me in a half joking way, and he'd be like, "Hey bro, like you said this," or whatever. And I'd be like, you saw that, So I wanted to have a space of my own on the internet, similar to how comedy improv, before they start the improv session, they'll say, we want you to be cringe on purpose. It's a safe space, whatever, do whatever you want. There's not going to be any negative repercussions. What stays here, stays here. What's said here or done here stays here. Sort of stuff like that, where there's like a sense of confidentiality and trust. Then you filter what you say more depending on the conditions of the platform. I also feel like if someone doesn't take whatever you say in good faith, then it really says more about them than what you said. A lot of times in life, we misunderstand each other, and it could have just been a misunderstanding and not like a slight. Like when you were talking about
Elvira.
Yeah. It could be something like that, where like it's just a communication on both ends, and like you perceive things not the way that they were intended.
Oh, she's such an amazing human. I love her. I just encourage you to be brave and lead through the heart and share stuff that feels right in the moment, Adam, and then it's less complicated.
Yeah.
So exciting for me because I get to listen to your content and read it.
My ultimate goal in life is to live an excellent life. And I think in order to do that, I just realized both by like learning from the David Senra podcast and just learning from people that have lived great lives that you really need to prioritize and act. I've just been really internalizing that lately, and we'll see where it goes with all this leverage talk, but talk is cheap. So
yeah, go, Adam. You've got so many aspects that are going to lead you to have a great life. I don't say that lightly because it's not just coding smarts and it's not just family support and it's not just entrepreneurialism. You get the pang of missing home and knowing that you need to be on your island, and you get the quest with amazing people on that quest. One of the pleasures, again, with the podcast episodes that I've done so far is it's this really lovely representation of people that have not just been successful with their careers, but I call them humble high performers. They've done great stuff with their local village. They've done great stuff with their work. They've done great stuff with their family. They've done great stuff with maybe building a farm. You and I are lucky. We attract interesting people to talk to that have got that multidimensionality.
Yeah, because even if you're successful in your career, that doesn't mean that you're successful in life.
That feels like a really lovely end.
It's been really fun. Yeah, thank you so much for having me on it.
Thanks for listening to the Natural Genius podcast. Please share this with anyone who came to mind and visit us at naturalgenius.com.au. Thanks so much.